Oh, welcome back, my gardening friends. You've caught me just before I'm going to work. I thought I got this weekend off, but it wasn't to be. The crews need to get this weekend in because it's bank holiday next weekend, so we're Saturday morning about 6 o'clock. Before I catch up with the gangs and then do my other duties. I'm just scraping back the dry soil off the top. Underneath here, if you remember, they covered these with cardboard. These had manure or grow organic, similar to 6X, depending on whether I was rushing or not. And these are my giant long beans. So literally we select a long bean that's growing really well and take the small ones off. So I'm harvesting and trying to grow for show at the same time. These are from Bob Johnson, one of my viewers. He didn't have a lot of success last time with them, and he sent me a few seeds. Nearly all of them germinated. Let's just hope they do grow. But we don't really want them to get too much longer than that. I didn't plant them too early. Risks of frost now are gone, but it's so dry. But Nodig, as you can see there, works really well. I'll set out the beans, I'll do a bit of filming, I'll finish these off, and I'll get off to work again for another 10-11 hours or whatever. But it's only for till the beginning of June, and then I can relax at home doing DIY in the bathroom. Let's have a look at the pea and bean structures that I've created. So on the long beans, I've gone for this type of structure. So it's literally the opposite way around to the normal way, if there is a normal way. But as you can see, as the beans grow left and right, then they hang down. But growing them on a structure like this, if I'd built it wide enough at the bottom, he says, then they get hidden in the middle, and then you sometimes don't find them until they've gone to seed. If it starts to go to seed, the plant stops producing flowers. So I've done that on this one. That one, these are just the Firestorm and Starlet. In the middle is some mixed beans that I've just pushed into the ground. But I shall have plenty of long beans, so that will do us. So let's go on to the pongos. They're a dwarf French bean bush, but I tend to put them on the edges of my beds so that the beans can hang down instead of just lying on the floor getting a little bit of pest damage. All that's in here is the compost with the perlite that we find unscrupulously dumped by the cannabis growers. But there's a few things in there growing. I've just done a mixture, but this year's gardening season is not being the best, shall we say. I'm coming back later to pick the rhubarb, ready to make some more crumbles with the soft fruit that we harvested last year. I might do a video on that. But overall, things are growing nicely with the sunshine. We've not had any rain now for weeks and weeks. The new bed, we filled that straight away. Got some compost in, manure, sheep's wool, all the surplus sheep's wool in the bottom. And then we planted some beetroot at this end and parsnips and carrots in 2 rows, some different varieties. And you can see there some different layers of the materials originally dug over, then some sheep's wool, manure, then some of my homemade potting compost. Raspberries are looking nice, but you can see why I didn't take all of them out, because this is probably going to be my main fruiting area this time. As we've said before, I grow too much fruit, so we only need to grow as much as we can eat or share, give away, etc. The blackberries are producing now. So another little free structure, some of the galvanized square mesh just tied to a couple of stakes, and so the mice don't find the peas, he says. Hopefully I've layered some mint. They can't sniff them out then, can they? The walking onions are walking, and a kind plot holder for a swap. Surplus raspberry, autumn fruiting raspberry plants. He gave me a few of the Minnesota midget melons. A little bit of protection there while these cold winds, etc. And we feed from the bottom, water from the bottom, so that we don't get any damping off. I put some of my onions in this bed. Should have topped it up really, but all I did, I put a piece of wood in, and now I can grow 4 of the pongos. Well, good morning, Mr. Crow. Oh yes, good morning to you as well. And they'll hang over there nicely. Jerusalem artichoke bed. They're trying to escape again, guys. Oh my goodness. I do like them, but by gum, they take some controlling. My poor asparagus. I could have had another week, and I probably will get a few of the smaller ones, but bloody size of that. We must be doing something right, but there's a few areas where they're still coming up nice and small. I'd normally take those now, but it won't be long before these go to fern. But what we have had has been absolutely delicious. I save all the strongest autumn fruiting raspberry canes, preferably with a nice thick bottom, similar to mine, and we just make a nice structure. So 2 bamboo canes up each side, 2 across the top, pinching in those. We've sowed the peas, and we've put down the mint to help disguise. In between, we've planted some radish as a catch crop before they get too big. There's the Hendrick snow peas on another redundant frame that we at home have now removed. Well, Mrs. K has. She says it's going, but I'm giving it another life. And then we've got another row there, and I've done it this way because I want to be able to harvest them. If I put them in the middle, it would be a waste of space, he says, but we need to leave room for the sweet corn at this end. So our structures don't have to be expensive. Keep an eye out in those skips for people throwing things away, especially when they do a spring clean in the garden. My eyes are everywhere. On the road, of course, but it's surprising what you can get and what you can find using the old bamboo sticks that are a bit short. I must cut the ends off those on the right, else I'm going to end up catching me, but we don't have to spend a lot of money when we're gardening on a budget. So we direct sowed some pongos in the cell trays. They've come up really well, and some of those will be hanging over these here, and we'll probably try a catch crop of radish along the front to have, just to make use of that space. The other sweet corn will be going at that end, so I've got 2 varieties. So we've got early bird on the right and rising sun on the left. Thank you very much for the viewer that sent those for Mrs. K. Much appreciated. There's the cucumber that we bought in a previous video, and these cucumbers, oh, they don't or shouldn't be letting get in much bigger than that. I let the others get a little bit too big. The smaller ones tasted better. But well, a snack cucumber. So thank you very much for all your suggestions, but I'll put this video on the end screen. You might be able to help me out. Must get this planted out of that pot and get it a nice feeding. Now it's producing fruits, and that'll get some comfrey, which I create in my comfrey bin. So comfrey, the stalks, everything goes into there, apart from the roots. It takes a long time for it to start fermenting and breaking down, but once it does, it starts filling that container at the bottom. I got about 15 litres last year. I'm aiming for 20 this year. What I create this year, I will use next year. I found some on the grass verge, so I've already got some in there. We've got the Bocking 14 growing nicely there. The flowers are opening up nicely. And my spreading variety of comfrey, the far side the flowers have opened and the bees have had their fill. So I tend to do a rotation, cut half of that, then another half of this, then the Bocking. By that time the far side has started growing back, creating flowers. I normally take 3 crops, then let it go to its own devices so that it feeds those massive long roots that go right down into the ground, fetching all the cemetery runoff that we're next to make my plants grow lovely. If you've liked the content, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down for the interaction. Leave me a comment, and why not consider subscribing. Happy gardening to you all. Till next time, my friends. Ta-ra for now. Don't forget the end screens and all those suggestions for creating gardening on a budget P and B frames.